put them in the comments and I'll check it right at the end. And if I see it there, we will address it. If not, we'll address it later. I'm going to hit record and we're going to have some fun. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Enlightened Conversations. Really excited for today and to introduce you guys to today's guests. We have Jason Shurka, who is in New York right now. And Jason's awesome. I discovered his Instagram page and what he was doing just a few days ago and immediately sent him a message and told him I'd love to chat with him, a conversation that I would want to have with him anyway. And I'm just happy that we can share this with all of you guys. Jason is getting ready to release a new book, which he'll definitely share, I'm sure. And also, he's a spiritual teacher, teaches people how to just be who and what we all truly are and be able to enjoy our lives as a result. And we'll get into that, how he does that and whatever we're inspired to share, we're going to share. So without further ado for me, introduce you guys to Jason. And Jason, if you could share with the audience a little bit who you are and why you do what you do and all that good stuff. I appreciate you.
Sure. Thank you very much. So who I am, that can be answered in a lot of different ways. I'm going to answer it in my own unique way without any script, like we said. I'm a person that does many different things. Yes, I'm an author. Yes, we can call me a spiritual teacher. I work with clients all around the world to help them access certain parts of themselves, heal a certain part of themselves, whether that's on the spiritual element or the physical element. With that being said, all of that is where my passion lies. And the reason why I'm sharing what I'm about to share next is because this is where I relate to everybody else. Although I do everything that I just said, I also do other things. So we can call me a normal person that has another job that isn't just sitting down with my legs crossed and teaching people how to meditate through guided meditations and clear themselves spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, and all that. So just to give you a background of myself, I work in real estate. I work in high tech as well. I have a few apps that I developed with a few friends. And everything is going really, really well. Now, throughout my life, and I'd like to share this with all of you as well, because I see that it's a pattern, not only my life, but many other people's lives. Not always is what I do something that I genuinely want to do. But we do live in the real world, and we do have to support ourselves financially. And if you want to raise a family and get married and buy a home and all of those normal life things in the real world, you have to be able to support yourself financially. So I see a lot of people waking up every single morning and they go to work and they really don't like it. And I was one of those people in the beginning as well, by the way, until I realized there was always a dissonance between certain things that I was doing to support myself financially and then my passion, which is my book, the teachings that I do with certain people and my clients that I teach around the world. And that difference was, or that what I came down to with this whole thing was the differentiation between a state of being and a state of doing. And I asked myself, well, I'm doing a lot of things that not necessarily, if I had all the money in the world and I had $1 billion in my bank account right now, would I do things differently? The answer is yes. The answer is 100% yes. And 99.9% of us would probably answer yes as well. But the one thing I wouldn't change is my state of being, because no matter what I do, whether I like it or I don't like it, it's irrelevant, because nothing can touch that state of being. And I don't know if you had a chance to scroll down to one of my first videos that I've ever made, but I give an analogy of a lake and stillness and where stillness resides. And just to make it super short and concise, I tell the audience to picture a lake 1,000 feet deep. On the surface of that lake, you're going to have different weather patterns. Some days it's going to be sunny, some days windy, tornadoes, hurricanes, sunny days, cloudy days. And that weather will give you different environments of the water. Sometimes it'll be wavy, sometimes it'll be calm. But no matter what's going on the surface of that lake, 1,000 feet down, nothing from the surface can affect that. And that's who you are, and that's who I am, and that's who we are. And that's the stillness that resides within you that no matter what you're doing and no matter what's done to you, nothing can touch. So that's a little basic introduction.
I love it. And I love that you spoke on this topic right off the bat because one of my favorites for humanity. And I too, at one time, was going and spending 60 plus hours a week at a job, corporate America, had a boss that I didn't want to do with my time. And I'm so thankful that I was aware enough to, be aware of, not like I am now, because we're talking, this is, it's about 8 years ago. So we're constantly evolving. But was aware enough as far as the importance of my state of being, my energy in the moments of life and how it was going to affect my life going forward, to know that if I went to this job miserable every day, it was going to be very difficult to change to where I wanted to be as far as the freedom that I wanted to have and the things that I wanted to pursue in my life. I didn't know I was going to be doing all the stuff I'm doing now at that point, but I was just open for the universe to bring something else other than this because I knew I wasn't going to be here long term working for corporate America. And so that attitude that I had, that state of being that I had in those moments, still deciding to go to work with a good attitude and be appreciative for the money that I was making and being able to afford my
100%.
lifestyle. And that allowed me to have a good relationship with my coworkers, with the management, so that when I did attract an entrepreneurial opportunity that I could do, in my part-time, even though I was already working a lot of hours at the full-time job, I kind of had the flexibility and the freedom to be able to also work on that, which is ultimately what allowed me to leave corporate America because of doing that stuff. So I love what you're saying because if in Jason he didn't say it because of the results that can come, which I love because our state of being can be thrown off if we're thinking so much about I'm gonna be this way because of the results I'm gonna get. That can be a little bit challenging at times. Um, but the results that you do get when authentically your state of being is one of peace, calm, or you can hike it up and joy, happiness, excitement, optimism, whatever it is.
I would actually add the word on top of peace and calm. I would add the word presence.
Mm-hmm.
And when you stay present in what you're doing, there dissolves the idea of doing something for a specific end goal and just doing everything you're doing for what's going on right now. And in my eyes, that's the definition of flow. So
Absolutely.
if you flow, and when you flow, things work.
Absolutely.
Things work really well when you flow.
Absolutely. Jason, that was my biggest weakness in life at one point. Actually, before I got to that job I just mentioned, the reason I got the job is becoming aware of what you just described. Because before that, I was so off energy wise, thinking about the future and how I'm going to be successful and how I'm going to do these things, where I was missing all the present moments of life. And it was just my energy was just a roller coaster. So I couldn't really attract anything to me. But what you just described is now it's become a greatest strength, which can encourage anyone out there that any weakness that you perceive that you have right now can turn into a strength if first you're aware of it and you want to choose to actually do something about it. Without the choice of it, it's not going to change by itself. But I'm so happy that you pointed out because yes, if we're aware, like I'm all about present moment awareness. Like that's why I do these podcasts to just help people have the light bulb switch on so they can have more of that for them. So how did you, for you, I'm always curious for people because like there's always like a light bulb moment. I've talked to a few people, very rare. Maybe you guys out there listening, maybe you were this way, which is awesome. But when we first are come here from non-physical, and we come here as these little balls of unconditional love, and we're kids and we're just having fun and we're enjoying. And then all of a sudden, as we start to age, and a lot of times adults are telling us, sit down, stop having so much fun, stop running around, stop enjoying yourself, and we're like, wait, I thought I came here to have fun. Like I'm confused. So eventually, we have to re-remember who and what we truly are, and sometimes they might, you might attract a mentor or a book, or it can happen in so many different ways. For you, were you the kid that just always was able to evolve, like your parents were just like evolve into this awesome being that you are now, and you've just been evolving the whole time, or was there like a light bulb moment at some point for you?
I would answer that also in a couple of different ways. And by the way, this is part of the introduction of the book that's being released. Okay, so it all started, let's say, from my first memory ever was when I was 4 years old. I don't know why I remember it, but I do very clearly. I used to live in Brooklyn, And my mother sat me and my older sister down. I was 4, she was 8. And she said, your great grandfather passed away. And my first question, instead of, I guess, crying like everybody else would because that's the normal thing to do, or the domesticated thing to do because that's what we're taught, my first question was, all right, how? What happened? And she said that he died in his sleep. He went to sleep and he never woke up. And I just innately thought that that was like one of the most incredible things I've ever heard. I saw beauty before I saw negative death. And there was some backlash to that because people looked at me like there was something wrong with me. And then fast forward a few years later, my grandfather passed away from Alzheimer's, and I saw for as long as I can remember the man was suffering. And the day that he passed away, once again, he died. He's no longer here. He transformed. I like using the word transformed better because that's actually what's happening energetically. But when I heard that news, I was happy for him because the man was no longer in a prison of suffering, which is what he was in for 10 years. And once again, I received some backlash. And I remember a few people around me, what's wrong with you? You're like this and you're this, and he just died and you don't have a heart. And being a little kid, I thought that there was something wrong with me. So because I didn't have any experience in life, I looked at people around me. I saw how they reacted and the feedback I was receiving from the way I thought about certain things. And I did what any normal kid would do, and I adapted and I changed myself to feel normal. And by the way, I don't think that I'm special in this case. I think every single one of us are these unique bundles of light and energy that come into this earth for a certain purpose. And society kind of breaks us down and tells us to be this way and this way and this way. And my story is just one of, I'm sure, billions, not millions, but billions, because every single one of us have this story. It's just a matter of, did you take time to self-reflect on what actually happened? So over time, I started adapting and changing and just being what was considered normal because I didn't want to feel weird. So that started with my behavior and my actions. And in school, I was always the cool kid and the class clown, but that wasn't really, I was more introverted than I was extroverted. But because I had to feel normal in my head and I didn't want to be put down, well, I said no. And this was all subconsciously happening. It wasn't a conscious reaction that I was aware of at the time. But I was adapting to my environment, and in a way, it damaged me a lot. I remember I never, in high school, I changed from middle school to high school, I changed districts. So I was able to start a new life from the beginning of high school. And I remember I said, okay, well, this is a new life, it's a new me. And that's when it really went downhill because I was adapting so much that I was willing to hurt myself to have people look at me in a better image of what I thought would be a better image. So I started drinking like everybody else, and I smoked like everybody else. And I never went crazy overboard. I wasn't an addict or anything. I was just like everybody else. But the point is just like everybody else is not who I am. And I was conforming to that to feel normal. And throughout that period of time, specifically from the ages of 14 to 18 years old, which was my high school career, a lot of things happened to me. And this is also in the book. I dislocated this shoulder 23 times.
Wow.
I got shoulder surgery 3 times. By the age of 18, I was told that I would need a mechanical arm.
Wow.
Okay. When I was just turned 18, turning 19, I went on a backpacking trip to Thailand with a friend of mine. He had to leave early for some family issues. I stayed there and I ended up getting a staph infection in my leg. I almost lost my leg. I almost lost my life. I was in the hospital for a little bit of time. In a matter of like 3 weeks, I lost 40 pounds. It was the first time in my life I ever took antibiotics. It was like there were intense things happening to me. Now, the funny thing is that through all these injuries, there was one common theme. And that common theme was the fact that they all put me in a state of isolation. So I couldn't go, it wasn't like I shattered my finger and I could go hang out with my friends and go to dinner. I had to stay in bed and not always could people be with me. So it forced me into this place and I had to make a decision. It forced me into the place of isolation. Now I could have watched Netflix and watched movies and distracted myself. Or I could have taken this moment to say, okay, hold up 1 second. Let me actually look at what's going on here. And to me, I'll tell you that I didn't have a choice. I did have a choice, but the choice was so apparent that I couldn't not pay attention to what was going on in front of me. So the first time I read a book was when I was 18. By the way, I'm 22 right now.
Wow.
So 18 years old was the first time I ever opened a book and actually read it. Not the whole summer reading when they make you read in school. And I always skip that in Spark Notes and just that whole thing. So 18 was when I said, after the third shoulder surgery, I looked at my mom and I said, Mom, I'm starting something. I feel something coming, and I'm reading a book. And the first book I read was medically oriented because that's something I enjoy. Um, and ever since then, I started making. It was really not up to me because there was just like things coming into my dreams. It was like I was becoming more aware, and suddenly I started seeing things about people around me. I started letting go of certain things. So at that point, I deleted my Facebook, I deleted my Instagram, I deleted my Snapchat, and I came wholly to me because I was on the other side of that extreme. And by the way, I think most of us, many of us, are on the other side of that extreme today. And that's what I tried to not push onto people, but just show myself as an example. And it really has some nice effects because you start seeing that just by the frequency that I've built and formed over the past few years, crazy, beautiful things have started happening. People around me. I was raised a vegetarian. I've been a vegan for the majority of my life. Just by people being around me without saying anything, you see suddenly they start eating healthier. You suddenly they'll drink less or they won't want to smoke. And I don't say a word. And that's that like proof of this dance of energy that goes on between every single one of us every single day. And that like intangible dance of energy that I know is there because I can feel it and I see it has been a real push for me in the right direction. Because now I say, okay, well, if I'm not going to do it for me, I'm going to do it for everybody else. Because if I emanate X, Y, and Z frequency, if that's on a lower frequency, well, then everybody I surround myself with will be harmed by it, and vice versa. So if I emanate what I want to see in the world around me, naturally, by people being around me, people will start being healthier. And I've seen that in my sister. I've seen it in my father. I've seen it in my mother. I've seen it in most of my closest friends. I've seen it in strangers that I've come into contact with. And it's really, it's not my doing. And that's the humbling experience behind it. It's not me. It's just the formless, as I call it, or the universe, or that universal consciousness acting through me to give that to everybody else so they can do the same for everybody else. So that's where it came from, really. It came from a place of, I got hurt big time. I almost lost my life. Thankfully, I'm unscathed. I'm not injured. I can walk, I can talk, I can move my arm, I can use it. But emotionally and mentally, I'm at a completely different place. And it's an incredible place.
You just said so many things that inspired me right there, Jason, and I'm going to unpack as best I can. The fact that the first and foremost is the fact that you're only 22. I had no idea. Like I feel like I'm speaking to definitely an old soul, with someone that has become aware of some things that are universal truths and truths for all of us. And I love how you describe it so humbly. And I love to share the same way, saying that there's no special breed of human. So the formless, the all that is, spirit, source energy, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, is flowing to and through and is truly who all of us are. When we're able to connect with it, be connected with it, and tap into it and know that we are, the example that you set in all of those moments is awesome. And for anybody out there, the best way to help anybody, and Jason described it beautifully just now, is by your own example. So want to help someone be healthy, be healthy. Want to help someone be happy. And scientifically now we can actually prove what Jason was describing as far as frequency, like can be measured, where we are in 2020. I've been to events, Jason, where I've had the EEG little scanners on my head and being able to see energy in actual present moment, moving. And it's just awesome to know that, we are these energetic beings, and can pull people to where we are. And here's the cool thing that I know, because I know all I can control, and Jason's aware of this, and I want everybody to be aware of this. All that we can control is what vibration and frequency that we bring to this present moment. We don't control what others choose to think or to do for themselves. However, we can inspire it to where if someone comes into where we are, they really only have a couple of choices. They either join us in our frequency, we either pull them to where we are, or they're not going to want to be around us in those moments. Because say they're in a, and I'm not making them wrong for this, we've all been there, we're human. Say they're in an anxious or frustrated or worried frequency, and you've already decided that today you want to be, right now, you want to be in just in peace, content, presence, like Jason said. Or maybe your momentum has carried you to where you're feeling really happy and excited right now. We've all heard, the person that, says, "What are you so happy about?" Because they're not feeling that way right now. They're not going to want to be around you unless they're willing to join you there in your happiness, which you will pull a lot of people. You will attract a lot of people also that are already vibrating on that frequency to where you'll interact with people during your day. I always advise people just pay attention to the people that are showing up in your life during the day, and they're all reflections of you. So you get to see how, Jason, if I even witness anything dramatic out in the world, like an argument or anything of that nature, first question I'm asking, Noel, what's your vibe right now? Like, what's your frequency for you to be even to witness some dramatic event? Because I don't even witness it if my frequency was where I like it to be, where I'm just enjoying the day, I'm present. I would have been, instead of witnessing that argument, I would have been inspired to stop and look at the trees or see the air or a conversation to where I would have still walked that same path, but the dramatic event would have already happened and been done before I even got there, is what I've noticed in life. And so just encourage the audience and, rewind and listen to Jason's segment again, because that was just super powerful how you described that. And now I'm super inspired to ask you what's inspired from you to flow into this book. Like, do you have a title for it already? And are you flowing because your story is powerful. So I know that that's definitely a part of it. What is it that you want humanity to be aware of just from what you're getting ready to put out?
Sure. So the name of the book is called Forming the Formless. The reason why I use the word formless is because I didn't want to use the word God. I didn't want to use the word universe. I didn't want to use any word that's been associated with a bunch of other definitions to mitigate any confusion. Because when you use God, that's just a whole mess because there's like a billion different ideas of what that actually means. And I think the most important thing before you try to convey a message is to first level with the person you're talking to. So the reason why I used, and that's really, by the way, frequency. Because if I'm on frequency 7, you're on frequency 10, when we talk, we're going like this. So it's either you come down to 7 or I come up to 10 and we can talk. So that's why I use the word formless, because formless is, and I define it by that which is all one, unchanging, unseparated, timeless, unlimited, limitless. All of those words are, listen, at the end of the day, language is limited because it's language. It's something that has been created. So I use language to the best of my ability to define this word by the most undefined and limitless words that there are. So Forming the Formless is a book that teaches one what I believe to be the major tools and mental tools and foundations that you need in order to achieve what it is that you would want to achieve. So just to give you an example, and that's manifestation and all that, but I'll give you a simple example. Let's take the book, for example, okay? Before this book was written, where did it exist? Now let's just establish one law. There's a law in science. Fact, energy, the law of conservation. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Now, when you think about that sentence for a second, that means that being that this universe and this infinite realm or this formless realm is energy, and that's all it is when you break it down and down and down. And we don't even know what that means. But the word that we define by we don't know what it means is energy, because what is that really? You can keep going and going and going. So the book, before it existed, right now we know that it's a reality. It's being published right now. In a month, it's going to be in all stores, online. It's going to be everywhere. Where did it start? So we can backtrack and we'll say, okay, well, it started in Jason's mind as a thought. Okay, let's take it one step further, because thought is also frequency. Thought is also an energetic vibration. Okay, where did it exist before it existed as a thought? That's what I'm referring to as the formless. So instead of creating a reality, You no longer have to create something because you can't create what cannot be created or destroyed. What you can do is access what's already there. So in the formless, I want you to picture this formless realm or the infinite as a bowl that's never ending with every single possibility and every single reality that exists everywhere. The book teaches you how to consciously reach into that bowl, choose the reality that you want to live, and manifest it. That's the idea.
That's a I think every human being, whether they know that that's a possibility or not, would desire that once they know it's a possibility. And the reason I do what I do, Jason, is because I want all humanity to know that that's a possibility, to be able to reach into the bowl. I like the analogy of how you just described that, and to create or allow to come through us whatever is that we're excited to allow to come through. That's I love that, everything that you just described, and I was right with you when you described it as the formless. It's ironic. The first book that I ever read by choice, and you mentioned reading your first book at 18 by choice. My first book that I read by choice was at like 25, so I got you beat there. Other than that, it was just assignments, and I was just like you. If there's a Cliff Notes version, or if somebody had taken really good notes in class, and I could just read those notes, I'd rather do that.
Mm-hmm.
But the first book that I ever read, a mentor just shared with me because they saw how much I was being, affected by not being present in the moment, and just they knew I wanted to be successful. They knew I wanted to create things and just enjoy life, but I was not aware yet of what I have become aware of now. But they recommended 1919, written The Science of Getting Rich, Wallace Wattles, which that's what he immediately starts off. There's a formless substance, and from which all things. And that, as soon as you said that, I was like, you're the first person actually that I've heard refer to it using that. But then you took me right back to the first book that I ever read on anything spiritual, anything law of attraction, anything creation, and everything's evolved from there. So I love that. That's you definitely guys want to go check out Jason's book when that's available, because what he's describing is, I mean, it's something that once we become aware of anything, we can't become unaware of it. And you become aware of this, and just all the things that we're talking about in this episode, life just becomes the movie screen. That's how I look at life as a movie. You're the star, and we're all the individual stars of our movie. We get to co-star with other characters when we choose, and we get to choose what we want to see on that screen, just like the reaching into the bowl analogy. And if right now what you see on the screen isn't a movie that you would pay to go to the movie and see, you wouldn't want to enjoy it, then we get to change that if we want to. And that's the awesome thing about being in these physical shells and being able to flow this formless, to and through us, and truly is who all of us are. When we can look outside, we look away from these shells, and what we feel like we're capable of, and just know that all of us can be, do, and have anything. We can do everything that Jason just described, and beyond. So that's awesome. I love that. You have my full endorsement and support.
I will add one small thing for everybody else that's listening to this or will listen to this. In order to attain a higher level of awareness, it's very, very, very important what you allow in your surroundings, what you allow in your environment, and what you allow in your sanctuary, your body. And that's the people that you surround yourself with. That's the words that come out of your mouth because they're a reflection of your thoughts. That's the food that enters your body. And that's the liquid that enters your body. And the more aware you will become, you'll see a direct correlation to the type of food that you're going to consume will be a lot higher vibrational food, will be more raw food, vegan food, fruits, vegetables, nuts, raw, not cooked. There's a very big difference. Alcohol will be decreased in your life. I don't drink, I don't smoke, and I can't anymore. Not because I can't, but because I physically, it just doesn't, it's not on the same vibration anymore. So for those of you that are on your journey of elevation, don't be afraid of change, because you need to change certain things in your life. You need to let go of certain things in your life for new things to come in, for higher vibrational realities to manifest into your life. So if that is who you are right now, keep doing what you're doing. eat right, drink well, surround yourself with the right people, speak words that really reflect who you are and who you want to be right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but right now, and continue doing what you're doing. We all have it within us.
I love that. You answered the question that I was going to ask you before I even asked it, so I knew we're in tune on this. Like I was going to ask, what do you want to share with humanity that whenever they hear this, you feel impacted? And that was so it's like Jeopardy. You just gave like the answer, and then that's the question. What is? So we just did it just now.
We're aligned. We're aligned.
I love that so much. No, this is awesome. Like I'm really excited that I know that you exist now, Jason, and I know the audience is as well because you're just a great example of it doesn't need to be change and choice and just being aware is something that happens for all of us in the moment, and it can only be in the moment. And it was just a decision. And Jason dealt with some life contrasts, some challenges, like a lot of them, how he described that. And we all deal with different challenges in various ways, shapes, and forms. And we can use those challenges as a springboard to what, there's something that I'm seeing here, a pattern that I'm seeing repeated, and I want something different for myself. And then all of a sudden you're attracted to a podcast like this, or a book like Jason is writing, or all the countless ways of us becoming more aware. And it just starts with a desire to have answers that you have, or questions that you have about life right now. How can I be healthier? How can I be happier? How can I have the abundance that I want, whatever it is. And then being in the space to where we can receive the answers, which is going to be a match to how you would feel as that is manifesting. Like you feel great, you feel at peace, you feel present, you feel alive. So that's when the answers can find you, when you're in those frequencies, not when you're like, oh my gosh, I got to figure this out right now because if I don't, this is going to happen. You're not in the same vibration, the same frequency of the what you just asked the universe, what you just asked the formless. So the answers will try to find you, but you can't hear it. You just can't see it. So um, I love everything that we've talked about here, and I just like recommend everybody just be excited to ask these powerful questions. Like the quality of our life, in 2020 and beyond, can be fully attributed to the quality of question that we can allow ourselves to ask, and then be open and allowing to receive the answer, and then to just go ahead and be excited to implement that into our life. And we all walk around with like additional brains in our pocket, so we get a little help, we get a little assistance, but the universe or the formless can even work through that. I'll be in the shower, Jason, I know you've experienced this, and then all of a sudden an awesome YouTube video just be suggested for me. I'll be like, this is exactly what I was asking. This answered a question that I asked 2 days ago, and then it's just, I didn't even have to look for it, it just found me. So this is awesome. Anything else you want to share with the audience, because I really appreciate your time, and anything that flows out of you, I know everybody really appreciates. So anything else you want to share as we close out?
All I'm going to say is make sure that you always feel for something to enter in your life, for a higher vibrational reality to enter into your life, you have to know that you're worthy of it. So know that you deserve it, know that you're worthy of it, and that's the final key that you need after you get everything else for those things to come into your life. And it can take a second and it can take a year, but that's up to you. It's in your control.
I love that you just said that. And every time I take the opportunity, every time anyone brings up the worthiness, because I see that being such a big challenge for so many, I like to remind all of us that there's no special breed of human. And if Jason is worthy, if Noel is worthy, if any of us are worthy, then all of us are, because the same energy is flowing to and through, and is who all of us truly are. And so you can have that as confidence and be really excited to go live out your life, because the things that Jason is putting in his book, no other human on the planet can put into that book the same way, because no one's lived Jason's life. So he's flowing the same energy that truly is who all of us are, through the lenses of his life experience, to where it's going to impact us differently than any other, information that you could be. The book could be on the same topic as someone else, but it's going to come out totally different because the life experience that Jason has lived. Same for everybody out there. Like, all of you are worthy. All of you can go out there and flow your life experience, which is unique to the rest of the 7.7 billion of us. And you can inspire and impact and uplift if that's what you choose, or anything else that you're being called to do. And you still have access to this same powerful energy that all of us have access to. There's no exceptions to that on this earth. So be excited about that. Let that give you the confidence, and then, be authentic and true to what's important to you. What do you want to see, on your movie screen, and knowing that you can go out there and create that, even if right now you have no idea how it can happen, when it'll happen, who it's going to be, if you're wanting a relationship. We don't need to know the answers for all of those things. The synchronicities of life, the parts of the movie that we can't predict, is what makes the movie fun. And just knowing that if we want to see things on that screen that we want to see, just be in the frequency of how we want to feel, like feeling good, feeling at peace, feeling present, all of these things. And if you want to see more drama on your movie screen, all good, not making you wrong for it. Just be in the energies that we're human. Be, fearful, doubting, worried, anxiety. Let that continue on. And you just have some synchronicities that you might not want to see. But the good news about those is going to give you more life experience, which is going to give more clarity. And now you're going to be like, ooh, I don't want to experience more of that. So now let me put my attention on this direction of what I do want to see on my movie screen. And it all flows. That's why movies have ups and downs, and that's called life. So appreciate you sharing that, because I always take the opportunity to just affirm for everybody that we're all worthy, because we're all connected, and we're all the same in energy, and we always will be. So I appreciate you, man. You're awesome.
I appreciate you.
This has been fun. Well, thank you guys out there for tuning into another episode. As the drilling picks up behind me, you couldn't hear that when you were talking, but it's perfect timing to close, because they're working on some stuff here at my condo, and not in my building, but well, on the balconies. But regardless of the fact, perfect time to close out another beautiful episode. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, and definitely share this episode. This will impact people, and anybody that pops in your mind while you're listening to Jason speak, definitely share this with them. It will definitely help them. They'll be very appreciative. Let me check real quick if there's any questions. He brought up great points. Yes, he did. Hello, Kat. She was on a podcast episode earlier this year, or yeah, last year. Let me quick 1 sec, Jason, see if there's any Facebook questions. Okay, we're good. I think I would have gotten an alert. Put the questions in there if you guys watch the replay of this, and we'll answer them when we see them. And just appreciate you guys for tuning in. Continue to rate and review this podcast, and subscribe if you're not already. Make it easier for more people to discover these beautiful episodes, and we'll keep talking to awesome humans like Jason. And Jason, just appreciate you sharing your time and energy with us today, and excited for your book. Share the title one more time.
Forming the Formless.
Forming the Formless. Love it. That's awesome.
It should be out in about a month. I'll keep you updated. I'll let you know.
Awesome. I'll share that on my social media. So I'm excited for people to experience that. Well, you guys enjoy your day, sending positive vibes. Happy New Year. You guys know I've decided to say that all year, because when's the cutoff date for that? So we'll talk to you guys soon. Have an amazing day. Awesome. That was fun, brother. I appreciate that. That flowed beautifully.
Yeah, felt good.
Yeah. No, you're awesome. And I was shocked when you told me how old you were. It's like you've lived a lot of life in the last 4 years as far as evolution.
I haven't lived. It's not that I've lived a lot of life in the last 4 years. It's that my personal feeling is I've lived a lot of life before this one.
Absolutely. It's the light bulbs, like I've just like the light bulb moments and the awareness, like in the last 4 years for you, has just been crazy though. That's
and it's only the beginning.
Oh, for sure.
Like makes me go crazy sometimes.
That's the best part, in my opinion, of this whole journey. Like once the light bulb pops on, because we can't become unaware. Now the things that you're doing today and sharing today, there's things that you're going to be doing as your life experience. Obviously, tomorrow's not promised to any of us, but we're all going to live to be 100, 200, whatever we want. But the things that you'll be doing, 10 years from now, you'll be utilizing all these things, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. It's just so much fun once we just go on this journey, and we're like consciously doing it, on purpose.
100%. I also I think it's a good example to show people that you don't have to be 40 or 50 or 60 to reach this level of whatever you want to call it. You can very well do it right now if that's what you choose. It just has to be a choice. But a lot of people get stuck in this. It's just like a pattern of, well, no, and that's what I thought before I wrote the book. My initial My initial thoughts that were limiting me in the beginning were saying, listen, I'm too young. What am I going to write a book right now?
Yeah.
And when I dissolved that, that's when everything changed.
I love that. No, it's you're giving people so much confidence, because it's easy for people to make an excuse for, well, I still have so much time to get this all, which maybe we do, maybe we don't. But since the only moment is promised, I just get so excited when people choose to allow themselves to be who they truly are here and now. Because what
Yeah.
else is promised? So, great
So by
example.
the, I'm going to be in Miami in the middle of March.
Okay.
So love to see you.